All right, tonight we're beginning the 6th Perek of Pirkei Avot. It's a different kind of Perek. In reality, it's called Braita. We have 5 Prakim of the Mishnayot of Avot. Then the 6th one was added later on. The reason for that is because there's a custom, as you know, to learn on Shabbatot between Pesach and the holiday of Shavuot, Pirkei Avot. Many of us learn it in the afternoon before Mincha. And this is all in preparation of Chag HaShavuot, which is Chag Matan Torah, the holiday when the Jewish nation received the Torah. In order to properly prepare for that, for the receiving of the Torah, it is definitely advisable for one to work on his midot, on his character. There is a lot of good advice and a lot of refinement to character to be found in Pirkei Avot, and especially during the long summer months, where the afternoons, people are at home. What are they going to do? How much do you need to rest on Shabbat? It's important that one learn. And learning Torah is obviously not just the halachot, but a great deal of it depends also on the musar that we find that is in reality an introduction to Torah. As Rabbi tells him, en derech eretz en Torah. So the derech eretz can be adopted by learning Pirkei Avot, by learning Sifrei Musar as well, and it's definitely a good preparation for acquiring the Torah, Kabbalat Torah, acquiring, and not just going on with the holiday as though nothing happened. One always has to prepare himself. It just doesn't come by itself. Torah is not something that you just absorb and it just falls in. One needs to work hard to acquire, to learn it, to absorb all its values, all its teachings. So the 6th Perek has to do with the actual acquisition of the Torah. So that's why it's called Kinyan Torah, the actual acquisition of Torah, because it speaks only about the Torah. So they added this because you have 6 weeks between Pesach and Shavuot, not just 5. So even though people review Pirkei Avot several times during the summer, they complete it and then they go back to the beginning and start all over again. If you actually count the weeks, we have exactly 6 weeks. So this one is the week, this is the one that is learned, or that should be learned, right before Chag HaShavuot. And it deals specifically just with the praise of Torah and how to go about acquiring Torah, how to go about integrating the Torah into our life. So this is a very important perek, and that's why I decided to learn it as part of the series on Pirkei Avot. The beginning of the perek, Shanu Chachamim B'lshon HaMishnah, Baruch Shebachar Bahem U'Mishnatam. It begins with an introduction, a pticha, that the Chachamim learned this, what they were about to learn, B'lshon HaMishnah, in the same style as the Mishnah is being learned, even though this is not a Mishnah and this was not taught per se by Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi, who composed the Mishnayot, but it was introduced later on. Nonetheless, it is being learned in that particular style to treat the Braitot as important to us as the Mishnayot are. And the beginning of this Perek deals with the praise of the Chachamim on their Mishnah, on what they taught us, because a child growing up needs to value not just the Torah, but those who transmitted the Torah. Otherwise, why should he trust them? Why should he look up to them? It is not just the Torah, which is Mishamayim, but those who were entrusted to teach it to us, to give it over to us, are very much looked up to. We admire them, we admire their dedication, their hard work, but more important than all of that is the way they actually gave of themselves to learn the Torah. They did so under the most difficult circumstances, and they did so lishma. Lishma is a key word that we'll be talking about today. We will not be able to go through the entire Mishnah because it's a pretty long one, and a lot of valuable points here. So we'll do most of it. But one of the key words and key messages of this Mishnah is Torah lishma. So we need to understand what exactly is Torah lishma, because a great deal of their success, the success of the Chachamim, to be able to preserve the Torah, to be able to give it over, to teach it successfully, and to become great giants themselves in Torah is only because they learned Torah Lishma, Torah for its sake. If we translate Lishma, it means for its sake. So that is really how the Mishnah will begin, about the value of Torah Lishma, which is exactly what these Chachamim did. They did not just learn Torah. They did not just become knowledgeable in Torah. They actually learned it for its real sake. And because of that, they succeeded. Now, in what way did they succeed? So we see from the various descriptions in this first Mishnah and later on, that the Chachamim who are teaching it are not just telling us, look at all the great things you will acquire as a result of learning Torah Lishma. They themselves, as a result of learning Torah Lishma, achieved tremendous success in both their learning and in midot. One should therefore not think that the Chachamim were just knowledgeable people. They learned a lot of Torah, they spent day and night learning Torah. That is, of course, one level of success, scholastic achievement. And what greater achievement than to achieve knowledge in Torah, which is very, very broad, broader than anything else in this world. But it's not just in the Torah. They achieved success in all the Chokhmot. One should not think that just because they learned Torah, they were ignorant of other knowledge. They were knowledgeable in many areas, including science and medicine, and there are many, many such examples in the Gemara: astronomy, astrology, zoology, right? Anything you can imagine, agriculture, biology. You find all of these throughout the Gemara, throughout the Mishnayot. But on top of that, they also achieved tremendous great heights and success in midot. They refined their character. There were examples, living examples, and even though they're not living today, they're still examples of such beautiful midot. All the midot that we wish for ourselves, they had. But it's not just the midot. What stands out from the Chachamim in the fact that they teach this to us, a lot of people can teach this. You'll find many, many books written by non-Jews about all kinds of character development. There's no guarantee that the author was what he preaches. Yeah? He could have been just, someone average who wants to make a few dollars and, took on a topic, a subject matter that perhaps he specialized, he had some experience, he learned. Does that mean that he became that? I'm wondering if all the people who write books on diets, if they went themselves on a diet. Maybe they don't need to. They were always skinny. But En Chacham ki bala nisayon. It's true. The rabbis tell us the greatest Chacham is one who experienced it himself. He knows it. So the Chachamim hayat tocham kevaram, as we say in Hebrew, they inside out. They had integrity. They practiced what they preached. And that's a very important point. And the reason for that is because they went in the derech haemet. They followed the truth of path, the path of truth. So in following the path of truth, which is the path of Torah, they not only taught about this, they actually made sure that their life is imbued with this. Otherwise, they would not be effective teachers. To be an effective teacher, to make an impression, whether you're a parent trying to impress your kids, whether you're a teacher impressing your students, you're not going to be as effective if you are not serious, and you're not going to be serious if you don't apply it to yourself. So obviously, when they teach it to us and they succeeded, we are still learning their words for generations after generations. It means that they really meant it, and that is why they succeeded, that their words are permanently part of our heritage. So here, in the very beginning, Rabbi Meir Omer Kol Haosek B'Torah Lishma Zoche Lidvarim Harbi, we will see how valuable is the learning for its real sake, that one actually merits many, many things in this world. And by beginning to tell us the importance of Torah Lishma, Rabbi Meir is telling us we're not just talking about how important the Surat Halimud is, how one learns, right? That the proper way of learning, the ideal way of learning should be Lishma, L'Shem Shamayim, for its real sake, for the sake of heaven, for the sake of God. In other words, He told us to learn it. And not for the sake of aggrandizement, to get a good name, for honors, or for money. And it was not only are we being told how important it is to learn properly, in that proper learning is lishma, but he's also telling us there's so much to derive, so much benefit to derive from this approach to learning in this world. As we will see, enumerated an entire list of incredible attributes, incredible just achievements in all aspects of life as a result of this just approach on how we approach learning Torah especially. But before we go to that, it's important to understand why this is being emphasized here. We just said before that this is important for us to acquire Torah. Acquire Torah means what? Not just to know it, but to form a connection. When we say to acquire, kinyan, we mean the word acquisition. Acquisition, in other words, that it should be a part of us. Not just in the brain, not just know it, but really a part of our life. And in order to make something a part of you, you have to value it. In order to value it, one has to have the proper attitude and approach. The best way to understand it is with the example of Chatan and Kala. Right? Husband and wife, they're under the chuppah, they're about to get married. Why are they getting married? Did you ever ask somebody, oh, Mazal Tov, wish you the very best, but by the way, why are you getting married? It sounds like a funny question. But maybe I should try it one of these days, before the chuppah. Maybe, I don't want him to be shocked. Why? Why are you asking me? But it's a very important question. Why do you want to get married? Life is tough. Well, you may get the answer. The Torah says so. That you should have children. Okay, that's a partial answer. The Torah does say so, that you have to establish a home, have kids. But the truer reason, the more realistic reason for marriage, is the Torah says, "Lo tov hiyot hadam levado." It's not a good thing for man to be by himself. Marriage is of prime importance. It should be a priority. We should pursue it, and hopefully with the right person, of course. We want to have the right person that will complement us, our soulmate, the one that will fill in where we're lacking, the one that will actually help us achieve whatever it is that we need to achieve. Some people don't get married for those reasons, for the reasons mentioned in the Torah. Comfort, company, money. She has money, he has money. I'm sure you've heard of men who are 30 years older than their wives. Why did she agree to marry him? It's usually because of support, financial support, money. Usually, not always, but usually. Why would she? You think there really could be love? There can be, but not all the time. Many times it's just because, the family pressure too. Marry him. He could be your father or grandfather sometimes. But, there are other reasons why people marry. Therefore, it's important why we know why these two people are getting married. Because if the reasons are, the real reasons of wanting to really be one unit, really wanting to be there for each other, wanting to work together, wanting to build a Bayit Ne'eman B'Yisrael, was a true Jewish home that is founded or established on the foundations of Judaism, to continue the Jewish nation, to continue with the tradition. If you look at it ideally, or idealistically I should say, for the proper reasons, then what will happen is the connection between the two will hopefully be stronger. Akesher yeh harbe yoter chazak. Because you are getting married for the ultimate tachlit, for the ultimate of purpose of marriage. It's the purpose of marriage, is to bring on a new generation, and hopefully a generation that will follow in the footsteps of the previous generation. So there's a continuity here of some ideas, of some tradition, some beliefs. So if you do it right, you can succeed in that. If it's not done for those reasons, chas v'shalom, what can happen is it could easily fall apart. If they got married for the money or for the looks, that can go away. Money can disappear, can finish. Looks will, with age sometimes it doesn't stay, and it's replaceable. So you wonder why many homes today are breaking up. You wonder why there's so many divorces today. Why are just people not getting along? Well, they're not getting married for the real reasons. That's the main brief explanation without a need to elaborate. We can elaborate on the faults, on the weaknesses of society today. Yes, there's a lot of problems, but the common denominator is they're not getting married for the real reasons. Because if one is really decided that he wants to marry for the real reason, hopefully he will do whatever it takes to preserve that marriage. If the two think alike, then you have much more strength and stability in this marriage, in this relationship. If the two are not on par, if they don't think alike, then obviously you're standing on one leg instead of two legs. But if the two are pretty much the same ideas, same thoughts, same kind of dedication, it doesn't mean that they're not going to have differences. Of course, men and women are already different even before they get married. Bridging those differences is not easy, but the Torah does so. The Torah, by giving us a common goal, a common tachlit, a purpose in life, makes sure, hopefully, that we will aim for similar or almost for the same things. So that is why it's important. The approach to learning is important in the same way the approach to a marriage is important. If the approach is lishma, for its real sake, it will be a stronger connection. If the approach to learning is for its true value, for what it was intended for us to learn, then of course it will accomplish so much more than just to know it, just to know the halachot, just to know right from wrong. That's not the ultimate tachlit. One loses out so much when he does not learn lishma. And of course, one can easily become disconnected from it if he did not learn lishma either. Besides having the right approach, if one does not have the right mindset, the right attitude, the right character, let's say by nature he's a very temperamental person, he's a lazy person, he's full of all kinds of desires that he wants to pursue. We all have weaknesses. Every human being has weaknesses. So one who has very difficult problems, issues, it will also make it difficult for him to form a strong kesher with Torah and with people. An individual, man or woman, who has certain weaknesses, certain issues, real difficult issues, cannot form a true, strong relationship, a friendship. If he's temperamental, he's a stubborn mule. Nobody will like him. Nobody will tolerate this. He will and even if he doesn't get married, he will have a hard time. So in the same way that in relationships with human beings, tchunot kashot, difficult characteristics, are barriers or are difficult, pose difficulties to complete or to have a smooth relationship. In the same way with the Torah too. Having difficult characteristics will make it difficult for a person to acquire Torah because it requires of him to do it on a regular basis, to be constant, to be devoted, even if you're tired. But a person who's weak, who hasn't worked on his character, will not be able to follow through. And that is why, it's important to work on the midot, as we've been saying, on refining one's character, because that will help as a foundation, solid foundation on which the Torah can be built. One of the main differences, people don't realize this, but this is a very important difference to bear in mind between the academic world and the Torah world. People go to college, to universities, to learn just all kinds of subjects. And there's some very intelligent professors, some very successful professors who are giving the lectures, who are teaching the subject matter. Is anybody concerned about that his professor or teacher has a marriage problem? He's an alcoholic? He's stubborn? No. If he's a successful professor in giving over the subject matter, he knows how to lecture, nobody will really make a fuss or care about his private life and about how he is in his midot, in his character. Two separate things. He does his job right, that's all they care about. In Judaism, it's the exact opposite. We first want to find out who the person is before we hear what he has to teach and say. No matter how knowledgeable he may know everything by heart. The whole Shas, all the Zohar, all the Kabbalah, makes no difference. We always scrutinize. We want to know how he really is. Otherwise, what he gives out and what he teaches is worthless. Ad kedei kach. As Mishle compares it to Nezem Zahav Be'af Chazir. I think we'll see it later on. It's like a gold ring in the snout, in the nose of a pig. A gold ring. All this knowledge, all this Torah. But where is it? It's sitting on the snout of a Chazir. Chaval, isn't it a shame? Put this gold ring somewhere else. So that is why we want to know who the person is. Because we're going to be learning from him. So we're going to be influenced by him. So he better be a good person too. The very beginning of the Mishnah, of this Braita actually, begins also with a very important clause. Baruch shebachar bahem u'b'mishnatam. Wow, it's a blessing. Blessed they be, right? Blessed he be, I should say, that has chosen them, the Chachamim, and their Mishnah. Why are we beginning with the Baruch? I saw a very nice explanation about why begin this Braita with the word Baruch, blessing. In reality, the Jew, every Jew, begins his day, or should begin his day, with Birkat Torah. That is one of the first things we do in the morning. Besides the Kriyat Shema, we say various blessings, one of them being the Birkat or the Brachot of the Torah, Asher Bachar Banu, and so forth, where we elevate the Torah in our eyes, where we bless Hashem for having chosen us to be learners of Torah, that He has given us the Torah. And by making this blessing on a regular basis, obviously the Chachamim wanted that we should continuously look up to the Torah, in other words, elevate the Torah in our eyes, and to instill in us the constant desire to learn Torah, even when we're 70 and 80 years old. That we should not look at the Torah as something that we go through elementary, high school, and then we let go of it. But the heshek and the aracha and the aratzah, the continuous desire, admiration, and looking up to the Torah should be with us all the time. So we begin, this is the way we begin our day, with this attitude towards the Torah, an endearing attitude, that this is something so important to us, that we're so proud that we have. And because this is so important, the rabbis incredibly tell us that there were various reasons for the destruction of the temple. However, in pointing to the galut of the Jews from Eretz Israel, as opposed to just the Churban of the Bet HaMikdash, they add the following: Alma avda haaretz. Why was the land lost? Why were we exiled? Why did we become disconnected from the temple, from the Torah, from the land? Al shelo birchu ala Torah tchila. The reason? You want to know the reason? Because they did not make the blessing before the Torah. That's strange. I'm sure they all made blessings before they went up and got an aliyah la Torah. And perhaps on a regular basis in the morning too. So what does it really mean? The fact, first of all, that the fact that they're giving this as an explanation is interesting per se, but also, how could that be that they didn't make? It's so easy to say this bracha. Why would they not say this bracha over more other brachot? But the point is, the rabbis are telling us something very, very important. It's not that they just didn't say the bracha. It's how they said it, or how they should have said it, that they did not. They stopped making that bracha, or saying that bracha, with the same love and excitement and hakarat tov, and appreciating the Torah that Hashem gave it to us. Hashem gave us the Torah. We should be appreciative of it. We should recognize its value. We should be so thankful for it. Otherwise, if you're not going to be thankful, grateful, and look up to the Torah the way you should be, at some point in the future, some future generation, if that Torah is still there, by some it's not, they've assimilated. But even if the Torah is still there in the family, it will be looked at as an archaeological, historical object. It was part of our heritage. Place it in the museum and take pictures of it. This is ours. And put some crowns on it and decorate it, okay. But will they learn from it? Will they follow it? Not necessarily. So the rabbis are telling us, you want to know on a deeper level, of course. There are various reasons that contributed, of course, to the Churban. There are various reasons why Hashem was upset at us and had the Beit HaMikdash destroyed. V'galinu me'artzenu. In other words, the diaspora, the exile followed. But the rabbis are going deeper into the symptoms that existed then. The deeper symptom, the root canal, the actual root of the problem, lies in the fact that he did not appreciate the Torah. Because there are certain things that if they remain intact, they don't allow you to just deteriorate and go off the derech. A person who values the Torah properly, I can't imagine him ever being not religious. I mean, it's just a contradiction. I mean, that's ABC. That's number one. If that is strong, all right, he may have to work on being a more charitable person, perhaps. Maybe he's a little stingy. Maybe, okay. I mean, there's still issues people have to work on, but if the Torah is there, then he can always come back. He can always do teshuvah. What should encourage a person to do teshuvah? Unless he sees the Gehenom facing him. Oh no, I see the Satan, I see the Malach HaMavet. Oh no, I better do something. Other than fear, what should encourage? Why should somebody do teshuvah? Unless he actually believes in this. He's really remorseful, he really feels bad. Why should a person feel bad unless he knows the truth? And how does he know the truth? Because he believes in the Torah. You see what I mean? So, the fundamental problem is a detachment of true Torah. It was Torah Lishma. It's not that they didn't learn, it's not that they didn't follow. They followed perhaps the ritual lip service, but a detachment from real Torah, the Torah Lishma, which in this case, at the very least, involves elevating it to the point of appreciating it and realizing how important it is in our life. So what has happened, of course, is that generation and following generations became detached and had lost their true value for Torah. They no longer see it as something so valuable and important in their life. And that's a shame, because what's the value, where is the intrinsic value of Torah? Where is the intrinsic? In other words, the Torah has tremendous value for us. It's a map on how to live our life. But the intrinsic value of Torah is, this is the words of Hashem. I'm reminded that the Chafetz Chaim was once, or more than once, seen by his students very excited when he learned Chumash. He learned Halakha, he wrote books on Halakha. I'm sure he learned Zohar, Midrash, Agadah. He learned a lot of things. But when he learned Chumash, he was so excited, like a little child. People overheard him say, I'm now learning the words of Hashem. These are the direct words of Hashem. This is not the Mishnah, the rabbis, the Gemara. Valuable, very valuable too. But Chumash, Vaydaber Hashem and Moshe Lemo, these are words that God spoke. He was a sincere man, sensitive Jew, very, very connected to the Torah. Learned Torah Lishma, obviously, and therefore he felt it. So what happens is, when we lose touch with the Torah and how important it is, what we really are doing to ourselves is forgetting that this is a divine book, that this is a holy book. And as a result of that, when we forget about how special and divine this book is, we therefore don't treat it in the same way. It's automatic. That's what follows. In other words, if you know that this is divine, and you know it very clearly, you don't just easily let go of it. It's all a reaction of not giving it enough value, not elevating it enough, not treating it right, not giving it more of our time and attention, so it loses its value, it loses its importance. And we eventually forget, of course, that it's something that's divine. It's all connected. And that is why it's not a surprise why in many schools in Israel and in America, it's hard to believe. Of course they learn Bible study. But Bible study class is just like math, just like any other subject. This is not Torah. Torah min hashamayim. This is how Hashem wants us to live our life. It's treated just as another subject matter. And because of that, unfortunately, all the excitement and admiration and appreciation that we have the Torah, shebachar banu mikol hamim v'natan Torah, is lost. It's not there. So now you understand why the rabbi said, why was the land lost? Why did we exile? They did not make the blessing. They did not know. They made the blessing, but without those feelings of appreciation, without realizing the importance of it, and not giving it that value that they should. And because of that, little by little, they became detached from it. So Rabbi Meir אומר, כל העוסק בתורה לשמה זוכה לדברים הרבה. He begins to tell us that whoever engages, is involved in learning Torah for its real sake will be zocher, will merit many, many, many things. Torah lishma is important because in other areas of one's life, lishma will be most of the time lacking. And that's okay. It's not such a big deal if it's not there. Let's take some examples. Why do people work? You know why people work? Let's take an example. Let's take a mechanic. Why does he want to work as a mechanic every day? Hard work, fixing cars. Can you tell me? What's the reason?
Skills.
What?
Pay his bills.
That's right. He has bills, perhaps a mortgage, car insurance, health insurance, life insurance, home insurance, right? A lot of bills to pay. He wants to survive. He wants to live well too. He wants to be able to afford many, many things. He's not working because he enjoys fixing people's cars. He's not working because he decided to be a car repairman, to do humanity a favor. I'm going to fix people's cars. No. Let me know if you find such a mechanic. I'll give him my car. I'll trust him. Right? Not in the area of, now, there are people who do research, to save people's lives. There are people who really do things for the right. I'm not saying there are no, but generally speaking, when it comes to these areas of life, area number one, work, as an example, most people don't do it lishma. I'm doing this for the work. I'm doing this because I believe in this. I'm doing this because I like this. No, when it comes to work, it's usually for the money. Because work is a means by which I can earn that money to pay the bills. Is there anything wrong with doing that? No. So you see how lishma in work is not a big deal. It's just normal, natural for people to do that for that reason. All right, next, politics. Why does somebody want to become a politician and become prime minister, president? Usually.
Control other people.
Control.
Power.
Kavod. Yeah. He's the mayor, he's the minister, he's this. They're not necessarily doing it to really help the country, to really help the city and help the people. Not everybody is motivated to just spend all the money for people to elect him so that he can really do something for the people. I wish it was like that. But that's not the way the world runs. Just look at North Korea. You don't have to go too far. They really cared about the people, the welfare of the people. I mean, it's day and night over there about what they care. In other countries it's difficult to know. Some say, don't ask what the country can do for you, ask what you can do for the country. You know, there's all kinds of patriotism everywhere to do for the country. Yes, it's a little bit not clear. It's vague where the people are, the politicians, the leaders. Are they really patriots? Are they really? And deep down, I hope they really have a little bit left of an interest to help the countrymen. I hope so. But many places it's not like that, where especially where there are dictatorships in Africa, control everything, all the money for themselves. They cheat, they rob, they take, they hoard. And you don't think this is only 1,000 years ago in Asia and China and Africa. No, even today. Same thing everywhere. Now, in some socialist countries, you can't get away with it. But there's still all kinds of politics. It's called politics. And politics is usually false. Politics is the opposite of lishma. It's an interest. So what you see in politics is an interest. In government, a lot of interests. Chaval. Chaval, what a shame. All right, what about people? Why do people go to college? Do they really want to learn geology? Do they really want to learn some other subject matter? No. They want to get a degree. They're pursuing the degrees. That's not lishma. Lishma in that area would be for the sake of what I'm doing. But who goes to college and spends years just to become knowledgeable, to learn something? Obviously they want to know it, but they want to get the degree. They want to use it because they want to get a job. That's not called lishma. But that's okay. In those areas, it doesn't hurt. In those areas, that's what people need to do. What can we do? That's not the way it should be with the Torah, however. Ideally, there's a big difference between just learning Torah, just to get by, just to do it because it's our obligation, than to learn Torah lishma for its real sake. Day and night difference. A nice way to understand the difference between Torah and other things is with what the Khatam Sofer used to say, a beautiful commentary, a beautiful explanation as to why we wish the baby, upon its circumcision, the Brit Milah, and during his Pidyon Ben, after 30 days, if he has a Pidyon, when they redeem him from the Kohen, why we wish him the same way that you just went through the Brit and the Pidyon, Tikanes leTorah, lechuppah, ulemaasim tovim. That Bezat Hashem, God willing, in the future stages of your life, the stage of when you accept the yoke of mitzvot, at the bar mitzvah, and later on, chuppah, and maasim tovim, may you merit to get to those stages and to get to those stages successfully. What kind of a blessing, and why say it now more than ever? You got here. B'ezrat Hashem, may you get to those stages of Torah, Chuppah, Maasim Tovim. So he says as follows. He says, when a father takes his son for Brit Milah or Pidyon Ben, neither the father nor the child get anything out of it, no benefit whatsoever. The Brit Milah is painful. The Pidyon Ben is costly, costs money for the Pidyon. The child and the father do not gain anything from this. Why are they doing it? L'shem ha-mitzvah, for the sake of Hashem, for the sake of the mitzvah, the Torah. So the Khatam Sofer says that is exactly why we wish him at that point, when he's already doing a mitzvah lishma, for the sake of Hashem Shemayim, in the same way that you have just performed a mitzvah only for the sake of heaven, may the other stages in your life, stage of Torah, chuppah, and good deeds, also be done l'shem Shamayim, with no interest involved. May those be done for the pure reason of the mitzvah alone, not for any ulterior motive. May your marriage be for the real reasons. May your learning of the Torah be for the real reason. May your ma'asim tovim that you will do be for the real reasons, not for any benefit, any personal gain. I think that's a beautiful explanation. Why we're wishing the child at this time, when a mitzvah is being performed, l'shem Shamayim, no personal gain at all, only l'shem Shamayim. In the same way you did this, l'shem Shamayim, may all your other achievements in life be done also l'shem Shamayim. Zochel Dvarim Arbe, Rabbi Meir says, he accomplishes, he achieves a lot. Velo od, not only that, does he achieve a lot, and we will see later on what he achieves. Ela shekol ha'olam kulo kidai hu lo. The whole world is kidai. It was kidai, it was worth it that Hashem created it for him. Why? Because the world is created for a tachlit. Hashem has a plan, has a purpose for designing and creating the world. He didn't do it for fun. And if one learns Torah, he's following the plan. He's implementing the plan. Therefore, it was worth it for Hashem to create the world for somebody who does what he's meant to do. That's a simple explanation over here. But there's something else too. The Torah, the world, the creation is a beautiful place. It's really wonderful. But without Torah, it's sad. Just look at all the amount of war there is. Famine. Major disasters occur almost every other day somewhere in the world. It could really be a true Gan Eden, a paradise in this world. It could be. With the Torah, it would be. Without the Torah, this is why it looks the way it does. So a person who learns Torah Lishma, Kol ha'olam kidai hu lo, the whole world could gain so much. Kidai hu lo was the world would gain so much from such an individual. As I think Rabbi Aaron Kotler used to say, I'm going to paraphrase what he used to say. It is true that American Jewry, Baruch Hashem, has accomplished a lot in this country. They've established many schools, hospitals, communities, and they've succeeded in businesses and so forth. They've done a lot to develop this country. However, had it not been for the Torah that the pioneers with self-sacrifice gave of themselves to bring Torah into this country, they would not, all this Jewry would not be in existence. In other words, the credit goes, the kidai hu lo, goes to those who established Torah in this country, the yeshivot. The kidai hu lo goes to those leaders that without it we wouldn't have anything. So yes, there's a lot of good things happening. There's a lot of good things that a lot of people have done. But without Torah, nothing would be there. Jews wouldn't exist here, or at least observant Jews would not. So kidai hu lo, the whole credit really goes to those who have given of themselves to establish Torah here. All right, this individual who learns Torah Lishma nikra re'ah, he's called a friend. Ahuv, his beloved. Now this is very fascinating. Because you wonder to yourself, he's called a friend. By the way, who calls him a friend? Hashem calls him a friend. These are descriptions or titles given to someone bashamayim. When this man who learns Torah Lishma is walking down the street, bashamayim, they say, there goes a friend of Hashem. Wow. You can imagine the protection he gets, the interest they have in him, how much they like him. To be called that? As opposed to what? As opposed to being called that here. Imagine somebody calling you from the bank. Hi, sir. We just wanted to call you and let you know you have a friend in this bank. You can count on us. Is that a real friend? It's shtuyot, nonsense. It's just talk, empty talk, because the word friend is misused. True friendship exists, but it's rare. It's rare. When people say, oh, you're my friend, how you doing, my friend, they don't really always mean it. Sometimes, yes. Sometimes, really, there are cases, of course, of close people. People are very close. Yes, yes. But most of the time, no. This is a selfish world, with a few exceptions, of course. So here we're being called that name by Hashem. For what reason? For learning Torah Lishma. So he's called a Re'ah, he's called a beloved friend. Ahuv, his beloved. And anybody who's called that Bashamayim, I can assure you, he's at a very high level. A person who learns Torah Lishma, Rabbi Meir continues on to explain to us, what does it do to him? Ohev et hamakom, ohev et habriyot. He will love Hashem. How could you love Hashem? The Torah tells us, "Ve'afta et Hashem Elokecha," we say it in the Kriyat Shema. You don't see Him. Here comes a little bit of an idea of how this comes about. When a person learns Torah Lishma, you know what that does to him? It sensitizes him. It gives him a greater awareness of what is right and what is wrong. It makes of him a different kind of a person. That's number one. Number two, by learning Torah Lishma, he sees the beauty in creation in a very different way, through different eyeglasses. He's able to see and perceive all the chasadim, all the kindness of Hashem that most people don't pay attention to, all the miracles, all the beauty, all the harmony. He actually is able to perceive it. Most people don't. So even though we don't see Hashem, we see His handiwork. We see His world. When a person learns Torah Lishma, he's overwhelmed by all this beauty and intelligence. And I tell everyone who's not so religious that I bet with them, I bet them, that if anyone learns all the Shas, all the Gemarot, properly, all the Midrashim, all the Zohar, the Chumash, the Tanakh, properly, I'm sure will come away with it, from it so impressed that he will become more observant. It has to. It will influence him so much. But it has to be learned properly, not just academically. Properly, perhaps with a teacher, perhaps with the right commentaries. It has to be done right. There's so much beauty and so much chokhmah in the Torah and in the Kabbalah that if one just goes through it, he says, wow. Now obviously this does not take a day. This takes a little while. But if one does it, he's going to come away from this and says, I never know this existed. And honest people like Uri Zohar said it on himself. The reason why he was able to become religious, even though he was a die-hard secularist, involved in the entertainment business of all businesses, far from Torah, especially that he's Ashkenazi. So he probably several generations detached from tradition. How did he come back? He says, because how could they deprive me of this? If this is true, it's beautiful. And of course he went on to see that this was true. It was proven to him. He went through lectures. He saw. He used common sense. He says, yeah, all the generations believed in this. They all followed that. They were willing to give their lives for this. And we just give it away? What happened? Where did we go wrong? Why is there a gap? Why are we detached? Why are there still so many religious Jews following this blindly, willing to do anything for the Torah? So if you're honest and truth, honesty is a very powerful midah. A lot of people are not honest. They want to look away. They want to ignore it. They feel uncomfortable with the Torah. So that's what he says. You learn Torah Lishma for its real sake. Ohevet ha'makom. You will love Hashem. You will see how beautiful everything is. Everything will begin to make more sense to you. You will fall in love with it. Habad ohevet habriyot. As a consequence of learning Torah Lishma, you will love people. You love people? Yeah. What separates human beings from each other? Why is there a lack of love? Sinah v'tacharut. Hatred, kinah, jealousy, competition, the usual stuff. A person who learns Torah Lishma does not have any of that. Does not have any envy. He's not jealous. He's not, doesn't hate. He's so refined and so elevated, he looks down at these things. He's totally disconnected from these kind of values of money and materialism, which is what brings people, or what makes people grow apart. What brings people together is love, pure love. Pure love is not something that is easily achieved. You have to be willing to give up a lot to achieve pure love. It has to be refined, like gold. You refine it, all the impurities, then you have something pure. Pure love, it's got to be refined. Oh, there's a lot of impurities in the way. Torah Lishma works as a refinery. And therefore, he loves people. He can love people. So that is why the learning of the Torah achieves so much, that it brings harmony into the world, it brings harmony into people's lives. Mesameach et hamakom, mesameach et habriot. This is the continuation of Ohev et hamakom and everything. He gladdens Hashem because he's doing the right thing. He gladdens people. People are happy with him because he's able to relate to them. He's able to share with them. He's able to help them. He has no problem with that. He's not selfish. Similar idea, all because he's being refined. Look at what refinement does and how refinement is achieved. Torah lishma. Malbashto anava v'yir'ah, and it dresses him up with humbleness, humility, and reverence, or awe, or fear of God. Why? How does this happen? First of all, let's think of the word malbashto. Where does the word malbashto come from? The word levush. Levush is clothes. Malbush, b'gadim. But it's different than glima, for example. A glima is a coat. A glima you wear when you go outside, you go to a wedding, you put on a coat, it's cold. Levush is always on you constantly. So what the rabbis are here telling us is that malbashto, how does dressing up with anava and yirah, how does the verb fit this midot? It becomes a part of you, like a levush. It becomes constantly on you. You don't take off your shirt. I mean, you're always, unless, you're back in the shower. But it becomes a part of you. It's not once in a while like that. As a result of Torah Lishma, the individual becomes anav. And he becomes yareh amitiv. It becomes like his clothes. It dresses him up with very important characteristics called anava and yirah, and that he has on a regular, constant basis. ומחשרתו להיות צדיק וחסיד וישר ונאמן, and it prepares him. Machsharto means to make kosher, to prepare him to become a righteous man, a virtuous man, an honest man, a trustworthy man. Umerachakto menachet, and it furthers him from sin. Umekarafto lidei zechut, and it brings him close to doing acts that are meritorious. What does it mean, machsharto? To all of these things. Look at what it does to him. As a result of learning Torah Lishma, it enables him to become what we just said. Virtuous, righteous, trustworthy. Machsharto is not malbashto. Machsharto means to prepare him. We don't become righteous, virtuous, trustworthy overnight. But the Torah Lishma has the ability to prepare us for that. That with time, by learning Torah Lishma, one becomes that. Becomes a tzaddik, becomes a good person, stays away from chet, doesn't look for chataim. It gets him closer to doing zechuyot, good deeds. It prepares him. Now, what does this tell you indirectly? What this tells you indirectly is that if a person is not a tzaddik, yashar, chasid, it probably means that he has not learned Torah Lishma. See what I mean? It's impossible. If the Torah Lishma machsharto prepares him to become that, if he's not that, maybe he has not learned Torah Lishma. Now, obviously, people have struggles in certain areas.
Does it come from
Machsharto, kasher, not machshava, thought. From kasher, lachshir, to prepare. Even though to prepare means leachin, leachshir means to actually. It's much more than to prepare him, but to actually make him into. Just like an apprentice, by studying and by practicing the trade, it prepares him to become, it transforms him, would be a good word. It transforms him with time and practice, of course. All of these things that everyone should want to be, tzaddik, chasid, yashar, ne'eman, it straightens him out. And it distances him from the sin. It brings him closer to doing acts, meritorious acts, good deeds. He has no reason to pursue things that are not, worthy of being pursued. He just wants to do the right thing. it gives him that extra awareness that we said before between right and wrong. It sensitizes him. And on top of that, it gives him the strength to do battle with the Yetzer Hara. That is why he's able to stay away from Chet and actually do meritorious things. People don't realize, Torah in itself is very powerful, but Torah Lishma is a different league. It gives him additional strength, and that's what we're going to finish with right now. Even though the Mishnah continues, we'll do that next week with Hashem. We're going to finish with the following. It also gives him Nehenim Mimeno Etza Vetushia Bina Ugvira Sheneemar Li Etza Vetushia Ani Bina Ligvura. Nehenim Mimeno. Who benefits from him? In other words, what can he give that will benefit others? Etza, advice. Tushia, counsel. And I'll explain what it means. It doesn't really mean counsel, but just for the sake of translation. Counsel is similar to advice, but it has strength attached to it. Bina is insight, not just understanding, it's insight, greater insight, Gvura is strength. What does that mean? So, I'll tell you a quick story. Somebody once came to seek the advice of Rabbi Elchanan Wasserman, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, Hashem Yinkom Damo, a great rabbi, leader of a community, very knowledgeable man. So people sought his advice. Somebody came to ask him about some business matter, not halakha. So the rabbi said, just wait a few minutes. He took out the Gemara, he opened it and learned for a few minutes, then he closed it and then he gave him the answer. He says, Rabbi, what does this Gemara have to do with my question about business? He says, you don't understand. In order for me to give you proper advice, I first wanted to soak up my eyes, my mind with Torah. And after that, I'm able to give you etzah from the Torah. Advice that's coming from Torah, not from just my mind, my head. The Chafetz Chaim, who was his teacher, always used to say, what the rabbis say in different words too, that efshar lakachat etzah or litol etzah min Torah, one is able to, is permitted to take advice from the Torah. There are many ways to do it. I don't know what to do. Open up a Tehillim. Sometimes, if you know how to do it, there's different kinds of goralot, different kinds of ways of being able to seek the answer from the Torah. There's all kinds of ways about it, I'm not going to go into right now, but that's what it means. The Torah gives advice. The simple understanding of advice means don't think the Torah just discusses what's mutar and what's asur, what the halacha is, what the mitzvah says. The Torah is full of good advice. We see a lot of this advice in the Gemara in all areas of life, including investments. The rabbis tell us don't put your eggs in one basket. Famous saying. A lot of that is taken from us. In Mishlei, in Kohelet, in the Gemara. Good advice in all areas of life. That's called etzah. The Torah has etzah. So by learning Torah Lishma, you're able to draw that etzah, that good advice. But what about tushiyah? Tushiyah is a special word that goes with a certain strength to implement the good advice. Let's say now you know that you need to do this. It takes courage sometimes to do it. It takes an inner strength to apply it, to implement it, I should say. Where am I going to take that? That's tushiyah. Tushiyah it gives you the strength of conviction. I not only think this is the right thing to do, I encourage you to do it. In other words, it gives the strength to the advisor and to the one who's being advised to, perhaps to the two of them. Tushiyah can only come from the Torah, an inner strength of confidence that comes only from Torah, not from personality, that he's a confident man. No. Such a clarity and confidence that gives strength of conviction, strength and conviction of what is being advised as being the right thing to follow. And Bina, greater insight into that sometimes you need to be sharp. Oh, this guy is tricky. This guy really has something up his sleeves. Better watch out for him. The Chachamim had Bina, greater intuition and insight into who's the crook here. Two guys are coming to court. We don't know. We're going to make them swear. What do we do? The Chachamim were able sometimes to pick up on it. That is the koach of Torah. And then, of course, we have gvura, tremendous strength to be able to oppose all the enemies, to be able to overcome all their hardships. All of these midot that we're finishing up with today, etzah v'tushiyah binah gvura, very, very special, very important, very, very much needed, especially in Galut, that we have no Navi today. Rabbis are dwindling, leaders, we don't have as many as in the past. It's a dor ani, it's a poor generation, a weak generation before Mashiach comes. And we need more of that. And this can be acquired through learning Torah Lishma. So especially ever since we are in the diaspora, especially that we have no Urim V'Tumim, no Bet HaMikdash, we need this. It is only by learning Torah that we are able to know how to guide ourselves properly. And without the Torah, a person is lost. He loses his confidence, he loses clarity, he falls apart, he's depressed. All kinds of ills happen to people who are detached from Torah. So obviously Torah in itself is very valuable. We cannot be without Torah. But here we're elevating to a special status the Torah Lishma, that very few people really engage on. In other words, alevai, we should get to regular Torah, because the rabbis promise us that whoever learns regular Torah, just regular, mitoch shelo lishma yavo lishma, even if you learn it for its regular reasons, just to learn it because Hashem wants us, to be knowledgeable, not for the ultimate purpose of tachlit, of learning Torah, to elevate the world, to correct the world, to be mekadeshim shamayim. In other words, there's other ideas that we have to focus on when we learn Torah Lishma, out of purity, for its real sake. But alevai, we should just get started. This is a stepping stone to Torah Lishma. Without learning, how are you going to get to Torah Lishma? You first start ABC, 1, 2, 3, simple arithmetic. Then you go to math and algebra, trigonometry, and calculus, right? So even though it's not a good comparison, ultimately Torah Lishma is not something that you can just do right away now. It takes tremendous self-sacrifice and dedication, day and night, to sit and learn it for its real sake, without any benefit of it, without remuneration, without anything, thinking of anything else. It's a high level, but it's achievable. But the way to get there first is by learning Torah on a regular basis, even for the wrong reasons, as long as not for the bad reasons. So just, I want to be knowledgeable, I just want to know. I'm curious. Alevai, every Jew should be curious enough to just learn Torah out of curiosity, but learn all of it. Not just the Chumash. The Chumash, Halacha, not just run to Kabbalah, right? If you have a solid foundation from the very beginning, as I said earlier, Chumash, then you go into Midrash and Zohar, then Halacha. Oh, wow! It opens up one's eyes. He becomes a more sensitive individual and realizing how beautiful this is, how this is our life, that without it we can't exist. And the moment a person has reached this understanding of how beautiful the Torah is, it will be so palatable, so tasty, he won't let go of it. It will be like the best meal. It will be like he wants doubles and triples. Yes, that's the sensation you feel when you're almost there, going up the ladder of Torah Lishma. So this is why this is such a valuable ideal for us to aspire to, but it has to begin somewhere, and that somewhere is to even learn Torah for the regular reasons. And that, B'ezrat Hashem, will be a stepping stone to eventually learning Torah Lishma.